So my name is Sarbjit Johal, and firstly, I'd like to thank everyone in the Voice of Domestic Workers for inviting me to speak on behalf of Freedom Without Fear platform. I'm just going to say a few words in terms of everyone's made quite a lot of important points, but the points I'm making are really just about the importance of international solidarity and campaigning. I'd like to just firstly mention IMCAN, a Black and Migrant Women's Organization, which found in their research that under the current COVID-19 crisis, there is nothing available for women who want to fight and leave situations where they are facing sexual violence. 40% of Black and migrant women who are trying to access services are actually destitute. And what does that mean? It means they've got nothing, no access to public funds, they're on insecure immigration status, they've got insecure jobs, and many of them are disabled women who've already been targeted in terms of being denied services. Now you've got the domestic abuse bill, which this government is passing. It's going to try and deny migrant women any services as well. There's an organization called the Step Up Migrant Women's Coalition, made up of the Latin American Women's Resources, as well as South or Black Sisters and Amnesty International Human Rights. And they've accused the government of leaving a huge hole in the major bill because it doesn't provide any support for abused migrant women who've got no recourse to public funds. This coalition is urging the government to make life-saving changes to the domestic abuse bill, which is going to be actually debated this coming Monday, the final stage of it. Now I'd like to just show you 4 images. This first one, you can probably guess what's going on here. This is a march of Black and Migrant Women's Organization in 2015 in London. And one of the few organizations who supports women who are fleeing and fighting sexual and domestic violence. And what happened to them is their funding got cut just like that. And this was at a time when there were so many cases in Rotherham, and they're based in Rotherham, of abuse, and women were wanting more services or making, the need for services. And through campaigning and demonstrating and consistent, persistent support from the wider women's movement, they managed to win the funding back. The next image that you can see is that of, again, you can probably guess where, by looking at the slogans here, where it says immigration criminals, yes, it's racist, sisters against state violence, set her free. It's actually a painting of a protest outside, organized by the campaign to close down Yarl's Wood Detention Centre. And this is really to show the extent to which women, the way women are treated by the state. Why was the campaign demanding the closure of this detention centre? Because they hadn't committed any crimes. They're in there for committing no crime as such. They've been denied their basic human rights. And Yarl's Wood Detention Centre has been known for having security guards employed by G4S and Serco in committing sexual violence and abuse against women detainees. So there's a huge campaign going on, and this is a painting really expressing the demand of the campaigners and the solidarity demonstration that happened in 2017. The point being that migrant women are constantly living under the fear of being criminalized, of being under the threat of facing deportation, and then, of course, of detention. The next leaflet, the image, is really of a campaign which was amazingly successful, which Voice of Domestic Workers and ourselves, Freedom Without Fear platform, were at the forefront of here from the UK. We put a lot of international pressure to free a Filipino domestic worker. This is Jennifer Darquez, and again, these are all paintings that I've done, so I've incorporated them in terms of the images. Jennifer Darquez faced the death penalty in 2014. For why? For resisting rape from her employer in Abu Dhabi. And we campaigned consistently and had a huge international campaign and managed to get her released in 2017, and the death sentence was dropped. The next image is of, you may have heard of the farmers' protest that's going on now. And of course, it fits in with what the theme of Billlion Women Rising in terms of the environmental issues, the emphasis on caring and nurturing and the environment, and the need to resist what the corporates are doing to the environment. There's a huge farmers movement. Farmers are rising in India, as you've probably heard, against the corporate plunder and loot. They are likely, there are worries about losing their lands and the whole agricultural sector going into the corporates' hands. In fact, one of the huge corporate owners, Ambani, is one of the richest men in the world, and he owns Hamleys, the toy shop, the posh toy shop in London. And it also means if these 3 agricultural laws go through, there will be more exploitation of people's labor. Anyway, why am I talking about this? Because loads of women are involved in the farmers' movement, and they've been attacked by police and the government in India. Only today, we've heard of a 21-year-old young woman, climate activist, who was arrested. Why? For sharing ideas on social media, how to support the protesting farmers. And again, attacks on journalists who dare to report what's going on the farmers' protests, attacks on artists and other workers. And this is actually a poster to support Nodeep Kaur. And why has she been arrested? Well, she belongs to the Dalit community, which is the most oppressed and exploited and discriminated community in India. She's a woman, of course, and a worker. And she's been arrested for fighting for wages that were owed by the workers in her workplace. And she's been organizing solidarity action with the protesting farmers. And as we know, with the success of the Free Jennifer Darquez campaign, that international solidarity has a huge impact on the lives of women resisting sexual violence from their employers. So it's so brilliant that we are able to support and give our solidarity message from this meeting, that we here stand in solidarity with the women farmers and workers resisting the pro-corporate farm laws in India. And it was so nice to hear Marissa say that we at this meeting of women and migrant domestic workers support the campaign to free Nodeep Kaur, who was sexually and physically assaulted and jailed by the Indian police. Thank you.